Hello and welcome to another exciting session of Excel Together with my friend. And in this session, I will be inviting you to ponder a question that has been asked of me a few times. And the question is, Benema, what visuals should I use while preparing a report? And I usually recommend people look things up. The reason being that design rules usually get reviewed or updated, so it's good to know what's currently acceptable or what is preferred now. So some general rule of thumbs that applies to pie charts or donut charts. If you're dealing with something that has to do with time, to try to use like here is what's it called now, a line chart or a column chart, different rules, that would apply depending on data set. However, I've come to observe that people tend to forget that a table is also a visual element, if it's well formatted, and properly presented. Well, sometimes you could have constraints, in using a table to visualize what you information that you want to portray, or some kind of information that is contained in a table and you're not quite sure of how to translate that visually. Sometimes it's best to just have it displayed as a table. But for user experience purposes, you may want some flexibility. Like in this case here, I have the states of Nigeria, okay, beautiful country. It has 36 states and including the Federal Capital Territory, making it 37. So to display this data, I just have numbers, arbitrary numbers assigned to each state. They don't have any special meaning to it. And to scroll down, you have up to this 38 row here, for the Federal Capital Territory. Now, what if you could make it such that beyond scrolling, the way that doesn't distort your the the person that is going to be looking at your report, be it a superior, a client, that you're using for presentation, can just have it something in this fashion where they only need to scroll, with this scroll bar here, they're clicking on it and they can scroll to see the data that is contained, in your table. So here, you can think of this, you could use this for just a page, a pager report. You can use it as an element in a dashboard, and it works all the same. So how am I able to come to this? Stick around and let's explore how that came about. Okay. So one of the first things, I'm just going to create another sheet here, sheet 7, a blank sheet, and I'm going to copy out these headers here and then just impute them in here. Next, I'm going to use, let's just push this out a bit. So next I'm going to use an index function. Okay, I'm going to use an index function to, what am I using this index function to do? To call these values in here. Okay, and then I'm also going to use the scroll bar. So the index function, you recall we already how the index function already works. If you're a bit rusty on that, just go through the playlist, and you see where we covered index function to get yourself abreast with it. So the index function, we're going to select our array, right, or our reference, which is the values in this table here, in this column. I'm just going to pick it column at a time. All right, so I'm selecting my column, my array rather, and then next to it is the row number that I want to return. So if I should specify it as 1, a static value, and I hit it in here, I can see I have the state return. If I were to send this to 2, I have Adamawa return. Now the goal is for this to be updated automatically. So I'm going to impute scroll bar, right? So it's under the developer ribbon here. Just click, I have this here, so you can hover your cursor to be sure, so you don't carelessly select the wrong element. So I'm just going to pin it here, and just your choice of how long you want it to be, based on the appearance of your cursor, and then I'm going to release it. You could make it thinner if you want it to be that way. And then you can right click on it, or you click on properties when it's selected this way. I'm just going to right click on it and select format control. Okay. So now under the format control, here we need to apply some logic to it. The current value is set to 0. I'm going to change that to 1. The minimum value is set to 0 by default. I'm changing that to 1. Now the maximum value, we're going to come back to that in a minute. I'm going to leave this incremental value at 1. The page change, I'm going to leave it at 1 for now. The cell link, however, I'm going to set it to, you can set it to any cell. I'm just going to set it to cell F1 here. All right, I'm going to click OK. Now our scroll bar is set. So watch what happens when I hit the scroll bar. You see that this is the link cell and the values are changing. All right, so if I take it all the way down here, if I to just drag this down here, you just click it to come down here. It comes down and it gives 100, which is the maximum value that has been set. Okay, now excuse me. Like I said, the goal now is for this index, the row number specified in this index, to be automatically updated. Okay, automatically updated. So what we're going to do is the row number here, we're going to set the row number here to this F1, right? Cell F1, and we're going to lock it up. Okay, now that's just a starting point. Now you see, because it's currently set to 69 and our index, our array does not have a value, in terms of the 69th row. Okay, but if I had to take this up, watch as the number is incrementing to something that it has, 29, it has up to 37 if you remember, 36, 37. Now if we go 38, it gives that ref error. Okay, so now we want to have it locked in. Okay, we want to have it locked in. Now beyond having it locked in, I also want to drag it so such that it's not just displaying a single value here. Now I'm going to add something to it because these values are going to be changing. Now but if I had to drag this formula down here, it's all Abia state, so it's always going to be static, but I want it such that this is going to be set to this guy, and then this value here will be incremented, so to be able to properly achieve this, let me delete this as here. I'm going to add something to my formula, all right, a helper value to my formula. And what's that? I'm going to add the row function. The row function, it returns the reference, of what is contained therein. And for this, I'm just going to put cell E1. Basically the rule of thumb here is to select a cell that like a column that is blank in your sheet. So if you have content in this entire space here, you could just push it, far to your right, where you're certain that that column is blank. So I'm just going to set to go E1, and then that total value, I'm going to less it by 1, close the brackets, and hit enter. Okay, so now when this set to 1, but if I should drag this formula down up to this point here, you can see the values are different. So while I'm changing this here, you can see that on this cell link, the values are is changing here, but these values are also changing, because if you click into the formula to see that F1 is fixed, right, it's static here. However, the value for the row, when I move to the next cell, B3, now is E2, is E3. And if you can just easily test, the row function to say what is E1 here, right, it gives you the value of 1. I look at it for E2, it's incrementing. So if you're dragging it down, you see that it's incrementing. So the goal is that this is helping the argument that is passed for row number, right, to this index function. So I'm just going to replicate the same formula, and I'm going to change this column here, right, so it can return out an error because I did not specify the name of that column correctly. Okay, so now I've done that, and you can easily verify. So for Bielsa, I have 100, Bonu 50, and if we come to this our source data here, Bielsa 100, Bonu 50. So the records are tallying properly. Now, but we're not done. Okay, we're not done, because the more you scroll, remember our index array or reference has 37 37 rows. Now, watch what happens when we scroll and we've gone beyond the 37 points here. You see that we have a reference error because now our index function is now going out of scope. Now, why is it going out of scope? Let's look at the value that it's trying to call here. Saying 26 plus E13. So that's 13, right? 26 plus 13 is what? 39. Less one, that's 38. But meanwhile, we have 37 records, 37 rows we're trying to return. Now, how can we correct this so it's not embarrassing? Because if you recall, our arguments are supposed to go up to 100. So if someone is scrolling this way, they're just saying this. So how can we correct this? Easy way to correct this is to come to the scroll bar, right? Back to the scroll bar. Now, the maximum value. Now, the maximum value, to set the maximum value properly, you need to just have a bit of a calculation logic on your head. Okay, so what's that? Your source data, right? Your parent data, which is what we have in sheet 5. There are 37 records in it. So the height of your parent data, or the number of rows of your parent data, the total of your parent data that you specified there, in this case 37, less the height of your scroll bar, right? So the scroll bar, just as it is here now, so I'm saying the scroll bar is coming all the way from 2 to 15, right? So that's about 13. Okay, so we have 37, the height of your source data, less the height of your scroll bar, minus 1 again. So that's like less. Okay, so just stick with me. So we have 37 less what here now? 13, right? So 37 less 13, 40, that's 24, and then less 1 to it, so you have 25. If that is correct, so that's not correct. That's because the height, the height, the height of our scroll bar here is 14, not 15. Okay, sorry about that. So I'm just going to go over to the scroll bar and correct that. So it's going to be 14. So 14 less 37, that's what now? 23, and then, sorry, 14 less 37, and then adding 1 to it. So this is supposed to be 24. So now when I come out of this and I scroll all the way down, you see that I do not have that ref error anymore. Okay, because now the max value here is 24, and when you do the math, saying f1 24 plus 14, that's 26. 24 plus 14, 36 rather. 24 plus 14, 28. I don't know what's going on with my arithmetic in this session. I really apologize about that. So we have 38 less 1, 37. So it tallies and you no longer have that error. So you see that here you just have your scroll bar returning the values that you want to be. So to get it to look a bit more like this, okay, I'm just going to hide the value from this from our custom formatting, right? So just going to use this, so this value here is no longer visible, and then I'm going to insert a shape. You can just insert an object you feel more comfortable with. I'm just going to use this rounded rectangle here, you know the rounded rectangle here, to draw a simple shape over it. Okay, here, okay, have this. I'm going to set the fill to no fill. Now the border, I'm going to increase the border just so it comes up like a frame. Okay, like looking at a scale sort of. I'm going to adjust this a bit here. I'm going to increase the width of this, and still going to increase this here because I'm pretty certain. So I'm just going to move this out, close this up a bit, and now, okay, so excuse me. So there you have this, and you can always take off the grid lines. You can apply borders if you wish, to the data set there. And by now you can tell these data bars are from conditional formatting logic. So you can also apply that. And perhaps you want to use this for a dashboard, you can have other elements, of your dashboard visuals, contain hearing for your dashboard, while this is also coming in handy. And you know you can just easily tap, or click to move line by line. So explore this and share your thoughts, what you think. Was this helpful to you? Okay, are there areas you're finding it difficult to implement this? Please, I would like to hear your comments and your thoughts. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next session. Bye for now.